She's a very strong, confident woman, and she's a very proud Mohawk woman.
She's a make-it-happen kind of person. When she's involved, good things happen.
Raised on the Six Nations of the Grand River Reserve, Roberta Jamieson was quick to comprehend the injustices suffered by her people. Growing up under the Indian Act, Roberta got herself into McGill University, determined to build a better future. There, she witnessed the public legal battle over the James Bay Project, where members of the Cree First Nation took on the Quebec government over the flooding of their traditional territory.
One turning point was where Cree elders for the first time gave evidence in court, and the courts heard them. And I thought then and there, our people needed that training. I decided that the next thing for me to do was to go to law school.
Roberta became the first Indigenous woman to earn a law degree in Canada. From there, she threw herself into pressing for the recognition of First Nations rights across the country. She became the first female ombudsman of Ontario and developed groundbreaking work in alternative dispute resolution that has left a lasting impact across the nation.
I always thought that the best way to improve the relationship between Indigenous peoples and non-Indigenous Canadians was to have people sitting at the same table, crafting solutions together.
After decades of fighting for Indigenous rights across Canada, Roberta was called back to the Six Nations of the Grand River Territory. After years of suffering under leadership that lacked accountability and transparency, the people elected Roberta to be the first female chief in the Six Nations history, ushering in a new era of change.
This was a people's movement. The people were galvanized for change. 50% more people than ever voted. And we set about a very ambitious agenda, including separating politics from administration. It was a time of great sense of empowerment in the community.
After passing on the mantle of chief, Roberta set her sights on improving Indigenous access to education, joining Indspire as president and CEO. Under her leadership, Indspire was awarded nearly $100 million in bursaries to more than 32,000 Indigenous post-secondary students nationwide.
Our people have had quite an experience with the education system in Canada, and it's a tragic one. And I knew that if we were going to get a hold of our own future, we had to change that. So many studies have been done to show the multi-billion dollars that Canada's GDP would gain if Indigenous people had the same education and employment opportunities as other Canadians do.
For us at Inspire, education is what we focus on. That's our number one goal. So what we try to do is try to find financing and funding for them, and Roberta just dogged at making sure that she gets after, all the right people in government, and she does that well.
Today, as a thought leader, Roberta continues to champion inclusion and the need to embrace Indigenous values throughout Canada and the globe. Appointed an officer to the Order of Canada and to Prime Minister Trudeau's Gender Equality Advisory Council for the G7 Summit, Roberta looks to BCIT as a partner in her efforts to uplift Indigenous communities through inclusive education.
I'm a very practical person, and that's what attracts me to what BCIT is doing. Because when you can say 96% of your students not only graduate but get a job, that is terrific. We need more BCIT. We need more capacity in Indigenous communities and in the country at large.
For her achievements as a leader and dedication to uplifting the future of Indigenous peoples everywhere, Roberta Jamieson is your 2019 BCIT Honorary Doctor of Technology.